There is nothing worse than feeling like you're out of control, to have that swell of the need to tell the story, and yet to know that you are becoming uncontrolled, emotionally overwhelmed, and that you're probably drowning the person who's listening with the details that are making them super uncomfortable. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Kerry McAvoy, and this is where we talk about healing from narcissistic abuse. Most of us have found ourselves in this position after surviving toxic or dangerous relationships. There's this compulsion to tell the story over and over. Some call it rumination. And it's very disturbing experience when it's happening to you, but it's also an upsetting experience for those who end up listening. I think both the teller as well as the listener feel completely overwhelmed. For the teller, you're feeling embarrassed, undone, exposed, and very ashamed. And for the listener, you're often feeling overwhelmed, shocked, unsure what to say, and completely helpless. And so it isn't any wonder that there is a lot of negativity about what's often called trauma dumping. So what I want to do today is to give you some techniques to handle this experience when it comes up, when you're feeling this overwhelming urge to talk through whatever you've gone through. When it's happening, the first trick is to catch that it's happening, and that's often hard. We often end up way further down the road than we want to be, doing more of it than we intended. So what I'd like you to do is to imagine the last time that it happened right now, to stop and think about that moment. And then ask yourself, what were you feeling when it started to happen? Where did you feel these feelings? Was it in your chest? Did your face get hot? Did you feel it maybe a pressure that you feel in your body or against your skin? Did you start to feel like you're being watched, or maybe paralyzed or overwhelmed? Maybe you felt this gushing urge just to dump all of it out. Maybe there was this intensity that you had to speak faster and faster. But I want you to spend a few moments and think about what sensations you were having when it happened, and actually write them down and note where you had them in your body, because these are going to act as your marker, your anchor, to recognize when it's happening again. Also, you may notice that there is familiar topics that you like to revisit. Maybe it's a fight that you had, or a moment of severe betrayal. Maybe it's when you first found out that something was really, really wrong. Or maybe it was the worst moment in the relationship, but you probably have a few spots that are ones that you tend to revisit. Write those down as well, because you can also not only recognize it by what's happening in your body, but you can recognize it by the topic. So that's where to start, is to first recognize that you're in this space and having the urge to trauma dump. So what to do if it starts to happen? If you're in the middle of it, I think the best thing to do is immediately curb it, soften the discussion, maybe fade it out and slow it down, stop talking about it, maybe move into a direction of something else. And I want you to do something internally. I want you to use grounding techniques as a way to then root yourself back into the moment, back into your body, for you to get back a hold of yourself so that you start to feel calmer and more in touch. And there's a couple things that you can do that will really, really help. One is to focus on your senses. The second is to focus on your breathing. And the third is to focus on what you're observing around you. So the first is called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. And so what you do is you say to yourself inside your head, what are 5 things I see? What are 4 things I can touch? What are 3 things that I can hear? What are 2 things I can smell? And what is 1 thing that I can taste? And so you can do this wherever you are. You can do this maybe you can't do it with the lights off. I was going to say maybe you can do it when you're sleeping, or you're lying down in the middle of the night, but maybe you can't do that. But you can do this most of the time, and you can certainly do this in the presence of people. You don't need to say anything when you're using this technique. Let me review it again. You would ask yourself, what are 5 things I can see? What are 4 things that I can touch? What are 3 things that I can hear? What are 2 things that I can smell? And what is 1 thing that I can taste? So what you're doing is you're using your senses to root yourself back into this moment as a way to combat this overwhelming compulsion to then go into this very triggering, upsetting memory that you have, or flashback that you have. The second thing you can do, and this may be, each of these you want to try and see which one works best for you, but the second thing you can do is focus on your breathing. And that is simply by becoming aware of your inhalation and your exhalation. So you find yourself talking, you're finding yourself kind of vomiting out all these details, and you can take a pause, take a nice slow breath in, hold it, and let it out. And you know what? Just me doing that right now, I already feel a different sensation in my body. I feel much calmer just doing that one breath. And that may be enough for you to catch yourself and to get back on top of what's happening and to recover and to be able to move through it. And I want to talk about what to say to somebody if you're making this shift. I mean, say that you started doing this and you're realizing, oh no, I don't want to do it. Obviously, it could become a really awkward moment. So we'll talk about what to say, how to recover, but I want to just finish the grounding technique. So focus on your breath. Focus on the feel of the air going into your lungs. Focus on what it feels like to hold it for a second or two. Feel like what it feels like to release it back out. The third thing is that to ground yourself by looking at things around you. You may notice on something interesting in the room or interesting in the landscape or in the nature. Focus on the texture of it and the colors of it. Maybe something that you've not ever seen about it before. Maybe it's the lines that draw your eyes, but to really, think of this object. Sometimes what I do, it's similar as focusing on an object, but I focus on sensations. I might, for example, pick up my dress and then start just to feel it with my hands. Or some people might take a piece of hair and just, kind of touch the hair. But just the idea of you drawing your attention away from this emotionally loaded situation to the texture of something or the sight of something. Again, pay attention to which sense captivates you more than others, because some of us are more visually driven, other of us are more auditory, maybe some of us are more sensory touch, like kinesthetic with movement, or that we're just more aware of touch. So see which sense tends to help you get more anchored back in yourself, that's really helpful for you to be calmer and collected again. So let's back up. You're out, you're talking to someone, something triggers you. Maybe it's a memory, maybe it's something they said, maybe you've had a bad day, maybe you came into this space already emotionally wobbly and feeling a little off balance. You find yourself talking too much, you're starting to feel that feeling in your body of embarrassment or shame or that urge to tell or talk. You're starting to feel overexposed. You catch the feelings, and you realize that's what you're doing. You do one of these grounding techniques. So what do you say to the person that you're with because you're making this big change and they don't know really what's going on? I would say something like this. I would say, oh, you know what? I realize that I'm kind of unloading and this is a lot and I'm feeling uncomfortable. So you know what? Let's talk about how you're doing today. Just make a nice shift. Let them know what's going on inside of you without giving a whole lot of details. Even if they said, no, it's okay, I don't mind listening, you can say, that's okay, I appreciate that, that means a lot. So what's been happening? What did you do last night? How was dinner? Again, you can make the nice shift and the rotation to another topic. Or you can just say, another thing you can do is just say, I realize this is something I'm having a lot of feelings. I need to make a note of that because this sounds like something I really need to deal with in coaching, or I need to deal with my therapist. And then just use that as the transition. And generally what you're going to find is the person who's listening, who's starting to feel really helpless and maybe a bit overwhelmed, is going to feel relieved because they sense you taking it back over. They sense you literally, like when we trauma dump, it's like we're lobbing a ball out to someone and asking them to do something with it. There's nothing nobody can do about what's happened to us. What we survived was horrific. And it's shocking and very, very disturbing. And it's in the past. So it can't really actually be corrected other than, yes, it can be witnessed. Yes, you can be supported around it. Yes, you can be validated. But we can't change it. And you just taking a hold of it like this helps the person who's listening know that you are in charge of this experience and that you are doing the necessary work for yourself to get the healing that you need. And it provides a lot of relief to those who are around you when that happens. Trauma dumping is normal. I want to just again say that's a normal experience to trauma, is this urge, this compulsion to retell. But unfortunately, after a certain period of time, it becomes it just becomes an anxious trigger. It becomes a way, one more way that we're still out of control to the trauma that happened to us. And it's not really, it stops benefiting us and starts to actually become hurtful. Because think about it, because how many times can you tell? And has the telling that you've had actually solved it? There's something else that I think is really helpful here, and this is maybe a little bit deeper work. If you'd like to go a little deeper than just catching it and having some way to soothe yourself, you can actually ask yourself what it is that you're trying to solve by telling. I know for me, when I had this urge to tell people about it, I wanted someone to say to me, yes, that was really awful. It shouldn't happen. It's real. I was looking for validation, but maybe you're looking for justice. Maybe you're looking for retribution. It could be that you just feel like you're invisible and you want to feel like somebody sees you. Or maybe you wanted someone to tell you that it was deeply wrong what happened to you. These are all things that we actually can give ourselves. We actually don't need anyone in the world around us to do this for us. You have the power inside of you to tell yourself that it was valid, it is real, it was wrong, it should have never happened, and you didn't deserve it. And this person does deserve punishment, although probably it won't happen in this lifetime. I think by you getting by understanding what's driving you can also then help make it less of a compulsion for you in the future. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like it and subscribe to this channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so that you know when my next video drops. Hey, big hugs, stay strong and safe.